Hey there, this is K4A, Knowledge for All educational videos channel. We are actually starting something new on this channel, and that is finally something else rather than Scratch tutorials. And we are starting GameMaker Studio 2 tutorials, and we are making the same game as we just finished in Scratch. So we are making dress up game, but this time in GameMaker Studio 2. Why this and what to expect? Well, as I said while I was making Scratch tutorial, when you learn how to program something in some game or application in some game engine or game programming language, you can do it also almost instantly in some other game engine or some other programming language. Of course, you will need to learn some kind of new commands, syntax, and so on, but the most important thing is to be aware and be confident in yourself when you finish it in one game engine. And you know how to do it in terms of game programming logic. That's very usable and transferable to another game engine or game programming language, and that's what we are going to prove by making this same game as we did in Scratch recently. So I have exported graphics sprites from Scratch. I don't know if that's allowed, but I'm going to use this only as free educational purposes, so I think it is. I'm not telling you to use this to make some professional game and sell it. That's probably not allowed, but if you don't want to use this Scratch graphics, that's also cool. You can make your own or very simple prototype game graphics, or make some more professional. That's your choice. The main idea is to learn something new and to start something new in terms of not only Scratch related. So we will be exploring GameMaker Studio, Unity, and other game engines soon. Not only with this game but with other stuff, and that way you can pick the best game engine you want, and the one which fits your needs best. From my personal opinion, from my personal view and perspective, I like GameMaker Studio 2 probably the best for 2D games. I like how fast it is for prototyping the games and to make something complete. And again, it all depends on what you're making. If you're making 3D games, you're going to use probably Unity or Unreal or something like that. And for 2D games, I think GameMaker is so far for me easiest and fastest, but Godot and some other are also on the watch. So anyway, let's just finally test this game by pressing this play button and just see will it work and how it works in GameMaker Studio. Now it compiles. That's something we don't need in Scratch, but I have used the same resolution as with the Scratch. I don't know why do I have this lag. Okay. The game is a simple dress-up game. You have one character on the screen and 4 buttons, one which opens heads buttons, one which open possible shirts options, pants options 2, shoes 3, so 3 shoes, 2 pants, 3 shirts, and 3 hats. And when you click on them, they show up on the screen on the character. Simple as that. I have made this very fast in GameMaker Studio 2 using drag and drop, so you will watch in this tutorial how I use drag and drop, and there are a few reasons I do that. Because I want to explore it more. I don't use it in my game development. I use coding in GameMaker Studio language, that means typing the commands in words and numbers, and there is an option also to use some kind of drag and drop, which is similar to Scratch or some visual programming languages, by drag and dropping these icons on your right into this programming window on your left. And as I said, I don't use it very much, so I will learn it this way too with you, by making tutorials. That's one reason, and the second is that you can also make fast transfer from Scratch to GameMaker Studio 2 if you want, because GameMaker Studio has this drag and drop option, which is very similar to Scratch drag and drop blocks, and also to make some kind of to compare those two game engines in terms of what it makes most sense to you, and just to compare in terms of how some more complex and more professional game engines like GameMaker Studio 2 compared to Scratch behave. The biggest flaw, the biggest problem with this GameMaker Studio 2 engine is that it isn't free. As much as I know, you can go to their site, GameMaker Studio 2 site, Yo-Yo Games, and download the free trial version, but compared to Unity or Scratch or some other stuff out there, you have to pay for this game engine. So I don't know how well this tutorial will be accepted by beginners, but I think that the GameMaker Studio 2 users which already have GameMaker Studio 2 engine will watch it. Anyway, that's it. It wasn't short, but anyway, it was GameMaker Studio 2 dress-up game tutorial announcement, so expect me to start making tutorials on this small dress-up game in GameMaker Studio 2 soon. I hope this video was saved and recorded in total, because I had problem with few videos before this one. If not so, I will have to make it again. Until then, see you in next videos, and feel free to comment if you have some ideas on what new games, small games you wish to see in Scratch, GameMaker Studio, Unity, Godot, and so on. Bye for now, and keep on learning.